Welcome.
Thanks, Jules. And here we are again at another Raw and Real.
This is quite exciting as we get more and more comfortable with speaking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is raw and real.
So I accidentally muted the live YouTube. This is going to be quite fun as we watch all of these different little mistakes start to happen. Yeah. Oh, I've got it muted everywhere. So today's talk is around the relationship around timing. So around the relationship around timing, it's all a tongue twister. Most people would say a relationship with time. Our conversation is about the relationship around timing. So I'll let you take over, Steve.
Sure. Relationship with time is very linear in the sense that it's what am I doing? What's my clock saying? When is my next project? When is my next meeting? My next thing to do? It's a very linear way. Relationship around timing encompasses that wholeness that says there's a whole lot of things going on out there that I can connect with, not just my individual diary stuff, if I'm open to it. And if I'm open to it, then it can be that, you know what? Let me reschedule that. It's actually not important now for me to do that thing. It is important later because something else has come up that's speaking that says, this is a good thing to do now. And it could be a phone call, it could be an email, it could be a text, it could be whatever it is. It's not important. It's important that if that thing speaks and says, this is important now, then it is important to do it now or in the now. We often get nudges along the way that says, do this now, whatever it is. And from that little thing, a whole chain of events occurs that we couldn't even begin to imagine at the time, but it just flows out that way. And it may not be stuff we see for many, many years, but it occurs because we did in the moment that thing. So relationship around timing rather than with time is what allows all of that to happen.
Yeah, so we're not focused on the idea of time in a box, time being put in a spreadsheet. We have this amount of time, we've allotted time, we've compartmentalized time. So we're literally put all of those boxes and constraints aside and recognize that timing and your delivery for passion and your calling for the world has its own right timing. And there's nothing more beautiful than an idea whose time has come to pass. Its time is right. So, you know, like a tree that's got all the fruits, some will bear, some will go this way, some will go that way. So there's not a saying, right, this is the flower I gave the most attention to, so it's going to bear the juiciest, best fruit. That's not what it's about. It's about being able to serve all of our life, of which timing plays a role. And the calmer we can get about that, I had to learn this a lot, is that take all the pressure off, be calmer around it. The other thing that I heard recently, someone said, and it was just the most beautiful quote, is that we've all grown up, well, not all of us, but many have grown up with time's money. And this person said, for me, it's not, because my time's worth more. My money, I'm worth more money than time. And I really liked that. And it was more around money, but my value. They then said, I am worth more than time. So take the money away. I am worth more. So this person values themselves and recognize that when you put time aside, things have to be done within certain schedules, but timing plays the most crucial role in the rhythmic. And this person was in the entertainment arena and industry, so they understood the value of rhythm, and rhythm plays a crucial element in timing. If we're doing we might be able to reach KPIs, we might be able to give tick boxes of productivity, but you could be repeating the same old thing, and getting the same old results that at the end aren't really the results you really wanted in the first place. They might be, but what's happening to you on the inside? What's it like for you on the inside when you're in that compression of a relationship with time, as opposed to letting time just be and coexist as it is, as a man-made concept, and it's chronos. Very different to kairos timing, universal timing. This idea having a time to come forth. And the last thing that comes to mind right now is that aspect of, pardon me if I keep going, Steve, is that part that says it takes a long time to be an overnight success.
Yes.
And there's another relationship around that. Yeah.
Indeed there is. And two things come to mind with that. One is the critical time. I worked in an industry that was very time focused and project focused, and get it done by this time. I had a client, as an accountant, I had a client whose tax matters and accounts I had received, and like 3 weeks later I hadn't done anything, and I felt bad as the time went on. I hadn't even started really. And then about the fourth week I got a phone call from them that I had to call him back, and I've got, what am I going to say to him? So I ran into this rat wheel spin. What am I going to say to him? How am I going to explain it, and everything else? Anyway, I rang him back, and he said, have you done my tax return? And I said, not yet. And I was about to go further. And he said, good. He said, I forgot to tell you this piece of information that you need. Had I done this tax return, I would have had to have redone at least half of it and the accounts, at least half of it for that extra piece of information. So the relationship around timing would have served me so much better than trying to focus on the time and compartmentalize it. That's got to be done then. It ought to be done then. You've got the time to do it inside a couple of weeks. And the other thing that comes to mind was an experience a colleague of mine had. When you talk about an overnight success takes a long time. There's a company in the tech space down in Sydney, and they had built a website that served a lot of people. And within a year, like about 10 months later, sold it for $43 million to one of the major companies like Google or Amazon, one of those. And people said, wow, I wish I could do that. But the point of it was it had taken them 9 years to get to that overnight success. They had tried different things before and failed, and they tried some other things and failed, and they learned, and they've gone to other countries and they developed, and they realized the timing was right to do what they did in this market here in Australia. And then it became the overnight success. But it didn't become it without all the things that went behind. Those two things come to mind, that when we compartmentalize into time and it ought to happen this way and this time, blah, 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 that's the seriously painful journey and an oppressive one internally to go down. And the freeing up around it is really...
So what would you say to that Steve back then, who would have probably judged yourself as being negligent, not being professional, not doing your job properly? What would you say from the person you are now that has learned? I'm not going to say what you've learned. That's up to you. to the person who may even have a residual still inside yourself, right? What would you say to that, to this now, that person in this now?
And particularly the inner person of that person. In the nicest possible way, would be shut up your noise. Yeah, inner noise. Shut up your noise. Your inner noise.
That noise?
That noise that's going, ah. And it's like, listen, hear what is actually wanting to be said around this client and the timing of everything. And look, if necessary, make the call, bring them up and say, look, I was going to get it to you a little sooner. Some things have come up. I'm ready to kick into it. Is there anything that you want to share with me?
Yeah.
While I'm ready to kick into it, is there anything there? And the answer may well have been no, nothing. And then a week later, he rings up and says, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
And that's all good because there's been a communication around it. And that would have helped absolutely settle that inner voice that's going, you're professional, it's your field, you ought to be doing it by this time and all the rest of it. So it would be that quiet the inner noise, but hear what really wants to be said. And that's what I'd say today to that person. And the other thing that comes to mind is, you're not God, Steve. You're not God. You don't have it all sorted. And the path you walk is not blinkered and that's how you walk it and that's what you're going to do. No, it's like all of these other things impact. And something of more serious nature could have come across it that would have meant I put all client work aside. Some personal family tragedy or whatever, and just go, it's all got to go aside for now. That's having a relationship around timing and then communicating to everyone saying, I will get back to it. I will get back. But this has come up now and I need to deal with it. It's that important. So it's that letting go of, I must walk the path. Am I supposed to be good enough to walk the path, do the things when they're supposed to be done? And it's like, really? You mean you want to shut out the entire universe and do it your way? Do it your very small, narrow way? That's the other thing that I would say. And of course, having said it, I just said it to myself.
Thank you. So I was just about to say, with your now capability, taking our work into deeper consideration, in what way are you dealing with the person that's presenting now around your relationship with timing? Around timing, pardon me.
Around timing. Two things. One is that there is a more open relationship more naturally for me. So it's more about when the old voice speaks or the old narrative or story speaks and says, but you need to do this by then, whatever this is or whatever groups or organizations I'm involved with, this needs to be done then. And again, it's like, hey, Steve, you're shutting out everyone else. And they've got other things going on too. So maybe the timing, even that was agreed with everyone, is not the timing that matters now.
So what timing of this now, what would you say would be your core capability that you have really just got in this moment, or not? You might say, well, I really don't think I've learnt anything. I know this voice is going to come back. This is about being really honest here, or it might be the voice isn't going to come back, but it might be in a sense of feeling. So as you know, I haven't got that voice narrative anymore, but it doesn't mean that tension that we talk about meeting the confront, it doesn't mean that I'm not pushed up against it. The idea of this is a task time or end date projected, and this is where I am on the doing part of it. even though the being part of it, myself is quite calm about it, there's still this tension being built. I'm not saying it's negative, but there's this tension being built and between a timeline and the doing. So it's this not being in the now, and that's a future date.
Part of it is yes, the voice will come back and does come back. It comes back much less often. And it usually comes back around some expectation that I've taken on board, whether my own or others. And that's when it says, hey, you were, and you haven't delivered this by this time, this day. And so again, and it's like that, hang on, Steve, whoa, you know what you just said internally, and drop it. Doesn't serve anymore. Just let it go. And this is where Earth Point is just so beautiful, so powerful, so simple. Because in the moment of saying, right, let me connect with Earth Point again in the mycelium. And then that kind of stuck energy just dissipates. But it's replaced with a stronger energy because I'm connected to something beyond myself and bigger than myself.
Nice. I'm getting a sense in closing, for me, I'm getting towards the full stop for this recording, that there's, for future conversation that's relevant around relationship around time, about comparing ourselves, like the comparison model, comparing where I am, where someone else is. You were saying about expectations, expectation about yourselves, expectation of someone else that you're in agreement with. And the other one is the pedestalia, which we talk about a lot. So there's two subjects or topics that I feel that would be really good for us to do a video in the future, if you're keen to have conversation around it for the public to hear.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're two really fantastic topics. Again, to be able to see and release them.
For me, I'd like to say thank you, because, today was this experience of a real living embodiment of the part of us that, from our business model and learning model and marketing, public relations, conversation, as we know, we're starting these lives, not so much to get followers or build up that, but to get more and more used to people hearing our conversations. That's something we're very, very good at. And we've got this experience, not better than anybody else's, but we have this experience in the way that we communicate together, and we are aware that we've had so much feedback of the value that can be to others, to just watch us, you and I, when we come up against, which we haven't as yet, but we come up against those forces in a current moment, and this is relevant to timing, of being able to invite ourselves to suspend an idea, transform it, or transcend it, which is really our work. But we do all three, in that way of being open. So I would like to say thank you for today. This is our Friday in Australia, Friday the 27th of May.
Indeed. And for now, it's ciao from me.
And ciao from me. And Jonathan Livingston Seagull flying away. Bye, everyone.
Bye.